think I will use the Hector. Yeah, I will use the Hector. It's been a while. I haven't used an Hector 100, and we are in the desert. There will be a lot of suns for my whole stay here, so it's gonna be perfect. I don't know. Like this dog is following me for the last kilometer, or even more. Yeah, he definitely left. At least one advice that I can give you during your trip as a photographer, it would be to go to some random place. When I say random, it's like just like you can do the touristic stuff, etc. We talked about it many times, but try to take some time to find a place that you can just take a train. You find a city, you're like, okay, there are some hotels, I can crash anywhere, and just go and discover what it's like over there. That's our third video and the last one. I invite you to watch the other one. There is one taking place in Ulaanbaatar to talk to you about the storytelling, let's say, behind my street photography, and also the video that I did related to the countryside, living like through the past like the nomad. That was a crazy experience. And on top of that, at the end of my trip, I wanted to try to get the Trans-Siberian. My plan at first was to try to get this train and travel through China and then taking another plane from China to go back to Seoul. I couldn't do it because during COVID, etc., apparently they kinda closed the border. They made it pretty hard to go through. Maybe it's possible. I didn't take the time to get to know how to do it properly, but I end up stopping a little bit, few kilometers before the border in a city called Shenzhen. Say, it always reminds me of the name of like a shady sand or something like this in the show Fallout. I always think about it, but you will understand why. A lot of dead body of animals, cows or horses, everywhere. I already saw like 3 different bodies. It looks nice on picture, I hope. We will see. There's some water there. I wanted to go there, but to be honest, it's a little bit far. I'm not lost. The city is easily reachable, but since I'm alone, I don't want to go crazy anyway. Also because there's dogs and you never know how dogs can react to you. So yeah, I discovered the city that was on the way, on the railroad, and to stop there. I booked a hotel, I found a train ticket by night, so I had the opportunity to sleep during the night in the train and experience also this way of traveling in Mongolia, which is like a big way of traveling to cross the country. And that was such a great experience. First, in the train, you get tea, you can get food, etc. That's like something like, it feels like a big family. It's the same if you did it like in Southeast Asia, for example. It's the same, like you are in a cabin with like different person. So at least that's what I did on the way to the city. And it was pretty full. It was just like on December 23rd, 24th, just before Christmas. And then on the way back, I was alone in a more like luxurious kind of train, wagon. It was also like a very nice place, all with wood, etc. Like very, very, very nice. And I slept so well. And I arrived in a city. A city in the middle of nowhere, in the Gobi Desert. So I didn't see all the camels and stuff you can find when you travel through the Gobi Desert. I just wanted to go to a city where it feels like nobody stopped by. Why is it a recommendation? Because you don't expect anything. You are not thinking about any kind of pictures that you can do in this kind of city. And when you go there, you are just on your own and you try to improvise. Personally, for me, improvising my photography when I travel is one of the things that I prefer because I never know what I will catch, and I always end up with few pictures I'm really proud of. So of course, some people prefer to plan everything. For example, for landscape photography, it's very important to plan as much as you can to get the best condition as possible. But here I just wanted like to get the mood of the city, trying to get the life if there is still some life, because just to remind you, it was in winter, so it's pretty dead, I would say, most of the time. But you can always find your way in the city to try to get some nice picture. How I did it? That's simple. I spent 3 days there. First, when I arrive in a city, what I like to do is like I just have a point on map, like a point of interest, something that like took my interest on Google Map. I basically just go there as a line and see what I can find on the way. That's for me one of the best solutions. It takes a lot of time because you need to discover the whole city to find the best spot, and I think it's one of the best way for me to discover a city, because you are not expecting to discover specific area, touristic area, or like a district specifically rich or a district specifically poor. You just cross the city. It doesn't give you any expectation. You just cross everything and find out what the city has to offer, just with your own eyes. Color of the sky in Mongolia is such a pleasure. It's so nice. Behind me the gradient is beautiful, so nice. So yeah, I got the Ektar 100. I got some long exposure, like 10 seconds, to get the gradient, like very pure kind of photography. And I can see my hotel from here, and it's very far, and if I can find a shop on the way, I would be very happy to be able to buy something to eat, to not eat only chocolate. This tiny factory just in front of me, to see if I can get a long exposure with the smoke and still the light of the beautiful sunset, which is behind the horizon right now. Some people might find you pretty crazy to work in winter at minus 15 to 20 degrees during the day, just in the middle of nowhere, but that's how you get unexpected photography and original ones. It felt pretty hard at the beginning, very hard, because nobody's outside, just everybody take the car, but you make your own way and build your series of pictures. And lucky me, the good thing is that Mongolia is a country with a beautiful light in winter on top of that, so the sun was pretty low most of the time, which always create like very interesting shapes in the city between the buildings, trying to find some colors if you can find some. There is also a lot of animals, whether cats, dog, but also dead dogs, dead horses, most of the time in the outskirts of the city. It's also another part of the culture in Mongolia that I think was interesting to take pictures of. But most of the time, since we had like a beautiful, pure blue sky, I think it was like a very nice, easy way to trying to play with the shape, the geometric of the buildings, all the electric lines, etc., and find out what looked the best printed against the sky, which makes it an easy way to separate like the foreground, which is very gray, kind of warm, and the blue sky bringing like a lot of cold colors. It's actually 8 a.m. It's very cold, and I'm heading to the train station to get some pictures. That's gonna be better, I guess, sorry. And the atmosphere of this area, just right next to the train station, it makes me feel about a field for testing nuke bomb. I don't know, it's like, looks fake, kinda. I don't know why, it's so weird. There is such a weird atmosphere. And of course, everything is flat around it. There's just like one small street with some nice houses. I don't know if all them are still has people inside, but that's a weird feeling, very weird. And yeah, we have some nice lights, so I'm going to the train station to see if I can get something interesting. The sun is still hidden behind the horizon. It should come out in 10 minutes. I wanted to set up the Nikon Z6 to make a nice video on the summit here of this hill. There is the village, the city behind me on both sides. But it's too windy. It's so cold on top with the wind. The wind changes everything. It freezes everything, your bones, it's so cold. Wow. I wanted to go on top of this to have like a different kind of point of view of the city. And yeah, it looks cool. You can see like the two specific kind of place with on the right, the more traditional with the yurt. They all have like a little square to them, and they live like with the yurt. They have the toilet outside. I don't know how they do in winter, it's crazy. And some storage next to the yurt too. And on the other side is the city center over there. Yesterday I was in between the factory that you see and the lake over there. I think for now today I will go to a cafe for having a drink, and we will wait a little bit for later today. It's not that easy to take pictures there. There is a lot of nice atmosphere, but not crazy picture either. Yesterday I took some good ones that I like. So I tried to go to the train station this morning, but the train station is very small and there is not a lot of activities, so it's a little bit hard to get something interesting, I would say. You know, one picture by itself doesn't mean that much, but when you gather several of your pictures as a series of pictures, at the end it can be very interesting. So it's always good to keep it for discovering new reason to use it. I'll leave you here. My hands are freezing. Few people going out and in of their houses or going to some small grocery in the middle of nowhere once again. But yeah, going to the middle of the city and trying to find your own way was also pretty hard, since you are the only foreigner. Even though you are hidden with all of your stuff around you to keep you warm, you can still feel like people are looking at you with a big camera in your hands. This is why having a Ricoh is always quite a good solution. I have another video talking about Kuwait that I'm going to record later, and I took almost all of the pictures with the Ricoh, and I end up with like very nice one that I'm really proud of. So yeah, like it's not the easiest country when you have your camera in your hand, surrounded by big guy, big Mongolian, and you are spotted by everyone. It's kind of hard to like trying to get the trust of people and trying to go take pictures around without bothering them. But at the same time, by going somewhere that nobody expects you to go and take pictures there, most people will not be angry against it. Most of the time it's because you are in a touristic area where people are just tired of having pictures pointed to their face. Since I took the train to go to the city, I thought it was like a good idea also to stop by the train station and get some pictures. It always looks like nuclear town, like Nuketown for those who play Call of Duty younger. I could get some pictures of walkers, not trying to be too close to them or even getting too close to the railroad, because it could be also dangerous, even though you can see the train coming from very far. And the light was with me, so yeah, I tried to emphasize this with my editing, trying to bring as much atmosphere as possible in my pictures. At the end, I end up with like few pictures that I really like, that I was not expecting, because I was not expecting anything. It's crazy how it looks like being in a western sometime. Those infrastructure, it depends. Most of the time it's not wood, but just the feeling of being in the desert and with these kind of things. It really looks like traveling through time. Everything is kind of destroyed too, so it has some charm, let's say. But it's interesting to take pictures of this. It just feels like being in another world. Train. I really sleep so well here. And already beautiful landscape. Last day photography in Ulaanbaatar.